Why does Jesus teach his disciples that we shouldn't put new wine in old wineskins? What's all about that? Let's try to figure it out today by going over Mark 2:22. Mark 2:22. Let's read. Kai udeis balei oinon neon es ascus palaius, e de me rexei ho oinos tus ascus, kai o hoinos apolutai, kai hoi ascoi. Alla oinoneon eisascus kainus. Although the verse is longer than usual, the grammar is kind of simple and the structure of the sentence is also very simple. So let's see. There's an initial kai, as almost always happens in Mark, that introduces the verse. We know that kai means end, and it's another way of starting a new sentence for Mark. And then we have the first sentence that starts with the subject, udeis. So this is the subject, and the verb, bale. So this is the verb. And then you have the object, oinon neon. So this is the object with an adjective directly connected to it. So very simple: subject, verb, direct object. And then there is this prepositional phrase where you have this preposition "as" that we have encountered so many times, that wants the accusative. And here you have the object of the prepositional phrase introduced by the preposition "as," and then the adjective palaius that goes with the object of the prepositional phrase. Then you have the second sentence that it's introduced by this "e de me," which we're going to see just means otherwise. And you have the second sentence where the subject is this ho oinos. So this is the subject to, let's say, of the second sentence. And you have the verb rexe, so verb to. Here you see subject and verb are kind of switched around. And then you have the object again, tus ascus, which by the way is the same as you see here. Okay, but in this case, this is an object, direct object, right? Tus ascus. Here, this ascus was in the accusative case, but it was part of this bigger prepositional phrase. All right. And then you have a third sentence, again introduced by Kai, where you have a third subject, which is this ho oinos, which by the way is the same as this one. So you see a lot of repetition here. So ho oinos is subject number 3, with the verb right after, apolutai, which is verb number 3. And then there is this kai, which is, we know it's an end, in another subject that, if you want it, it's together with ho oinos, but comes after, and we're going to see why Mark puts it there. So this is a sort of subject, we could say 3.1. Okay, it's kind of connected with this ho oinos. And then you have this last, which is not even a sentence really, because there's no verb in it, but the verb is understood, which is introduced by this conjunction Allah, which means but. And the subject is understood, the verb is understood. So there's a lot of things that is not said, but kind of understood based on everything that is being said before. And so you have this oinon neon, which by the way, you can see is exactly the object that is introduced at the beginning. Okay, oinon neon, right? So it exactly has the same meaning. So it's an object, direct object together with an adjective. Okay, and then you have this prepositional phrase, which, as you see, it's a parallel of the first prepositional phrase that we saw at the beginning. Eis ascus palaius now becomes eis ascus kainus. Okay, so it's the same structure with the eis, the object of the prepositional phrase, and the adjective, which now is different from the beginning. All right, so now that we understand the whole grammatical structure of the verse, we are ready to translate. So the verse starts with the kai conjunction that we know means and then you have the subject, which is actually an indefinite pronoun. It's an indefinite pronoun, negative. You see this u, in Greek generally indicates a negation, and it means nobody. Okay, nobody. All right. So nobody does what? Well, the verb is balle. This is indicative, um, present tense in the third person singular from the verb ballo. And the verb ballo, it's very common in Greek. It means to throw, generally, literally to throw. So in this case, since it's talking about wine, Jesus is not talking about throwing wine, but simply pouring wine. So to pour. Okay, to pour wine. We don't throw, we pour wine. Okay, so nobody pours oinon. Okay, which means wine. Okay, so you see this ending on. This is in accusative case, masculine singular, okay, which indicates a direct object. So nobody pours wine neon. Neon means new, okay, new. And by the way, a lot of English terms start with the prefix neo, right, which indicates something new, okay. All right. So nobody pours new wine where? Well, ace is a preposition that we encounter so many times. It indicates the motion into something. So ace means into. Okay. Into what? Into once the accusative case. Okay. And in fact, you see here, us. This is an accusative masculine plural. Okay. Masculine plural. On is masculine singular. And so you have the noun ascus, which means wineskins, right? So to into wineskins, and then you have the adjective palaios, from the adjective palaios, which means old. Okay, from which, for example, the English word Paleolithic comes, right? It's the old era. So you see this opposition between neos, new, and palaios, which is old. So putting all together, it says, and nobody pours new wine into old wineskins. And it continues, e de me, which we already found in the previous verse in Mark 2:21 last time, just means if. A means if, and me means not. Okay, if not, and de is an adversative particle that indicates something that is in opposition to what has been said before. So literally, e de me just means if not, or simply otherwise. Okay, otherwise. We could translate otherwise. Otherwise, what happens? Well, Jesus tells us what happened. Ho oinos. So ho is the definite article, the, in the masculine singular. Okay, so the wine, what does it do? Rexe. Now, rexe is the future tense. Okay, the future tense of an irregular verb that means to burst, to explode, to make explode. Okay, so this means simply the wine will burst, will break, but it's a very powerful type of verb. It means will make it explode. Okay, so will burst what? Tus ascus. Now ascus is the same here with the wineskins with the definite article in the accusative case, masculine plural, us. So otherwise, what happens? The wine will burst the wineskins. Kai, and again, ho oinos, the wine. So what will happen in that case to the wine? Well, the wine, apollutai. Now, apollutai comes from the verb apollomi, which is a really bad verb because it indicates death. It indicates destruction. Okay, destruction. Okay, it's the verb that is used for eternal condemnation in hell, right? It's something that completely is destroyed. Okay, and so this is what Jesus is saying. Like if you put good wine, new wine in old wineskins, the good wine is gonna break the old wineskins. What happened to the wine? Well, it's gonna be completely destroyed, completely wasted, right? So and the wine apollutai, this is a present tense, is destroyed, is wasted, kai oi hoiaskoi, and also the wineskins. So you basically have to throw away everything. The new wine which is ruined, and also the wineskins that are broken. So the whole thing is destroyed. And so, what is the solution? Well, the solution is what he says at the end. But okay, the right thing to do is oinoneon eisaskus kainos. So oinoneon means new wine. Okay, new wine ace into, so goes into wineskins that are kainus, new. Okay, so there are two ways generally in Greek to give the idea of new. One is neos, one is kainos, but the meaning is pretty much the same. Okay, so here Mark doesn't want to reuse the same adjective, use another adjective that has the same meaning. All right, so if we put everything together, the verse sounds like this. And nobody pours new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise, the wine will burst the wineskins and the wine is wasted, and also the wineskins. But new wine goes into new wineskins. What is Jesus trying to tell us here? Well, very likely he's opposing the old covenant with the new covenant. He's trying to teach the disciples that from that moment on, they will not have to mix the two, right? If you try to fit the new covenant into the old covenant, you're going to end up breaking both. You're going to break the new covenant and you're going to destroy the old covenant. They need to understand that the old covenant was pointing to the new covenant, right? The old covenant is passing away, and now we have a better covenant, a new covenant, new wine and new wineskins, right? If you try to put the the gospel of grace, which is the new covenant, into the framework of the Mosaic law, which is the old covenant, you're going to end up destroying the two. And it's not that the old covenant was wrong and needed to be fixed. It's simply that it's different and was pointing to something better. Okay, the old wineskins were not wrong per se. Is that now they are at the end of their lifetime? They're not useful anymore. They need to be replaced with something better. That's the gospel of grace. That's the new covenant that our Christians are in today.